Hello and welcome to another interesting edition of Health Watch, your number one health program on the station for excellence, NTA Lagos Channel 10. Today on the program, we're talking about a topic that gives everyone, I mean everyone, a big concern. We're talking about substance abuse, and this has affected a lot of people, a lot of intelligent minds. It has cut short a lot of dreams. It has affected a lot of relationships and even family. And don't forget, for the past 2 weeks, our searchlight has been on topics affecting men. And we're talking about substance abuse in men. We are not saying that it is gender-based, but we have more men that are affected by substance abuse than women. And so we're able to speak with John Olusegun, a certified addiction specialist and a licensed clinical psychologist with the Federal Neuropsychiatric Hospital, Yaba. This interview for this week is so detailed and a lot of knowledge that you will get from it. Plus, we have a recap of one of our reports on the importance of hand hygiene. You agree with me that we use our hands to do a lot of things, and these are our hands, there are so many germs on it that you can't see with your physical eyes. So that's one report I need you to watch on this week's edition of Health Watch. My name is Nkem Okibe, and you know I'm usually super excited to do this with you every week. We'll go on a short break. When we return, then we'll join the interview with John Olusegun. Stay with us. Health Watch continues in a moment.
When we talk about substance abuse, is similarly talking about people using some kind of chemicals, or let me say drugs, largely out of prescription or out of what is meant to do. And sometimes they use more of it, or frequently more than they should use it, or even when it is not needed at all, or using it to cope with normal day activity that they could have coped with without using that drug. In our own word, we say that is a problematic use of substance that is largely characterized with compulsion to get it and to use it, despite having harmful effect on them. They just keep going back to it. So that's what we refer to as substance abuse. Yeah, I can say that the country is in a state of emergency for drug use right now. Different types is coming up. Starting from the usual one that we used to know then, something like cannabis, you know, the regular Igbo or something like that. People will say, don't be like this person or something like that. Even alcohol, so to say, it is widely accepted, but it is also a substance that, you know, when it touches the brain, it changes certain activity of the brain, it alters the mood, alters the behavior. We are beginning to see more like different variant of cannabis. Something like loud is a synthetic cannabis that a lot of people will use to alter or to give them some kind of high, you know, so to say. We've seen people use Colorado or something like that, which is also a synthetic cannabis as well. Interestingly, these thing can even be smoked under your roof and you won't even know. Sometimes they don't smell like the typical cannabis that you know about. We have a lot of them. We have ice. Like some of people would also say, you want to stay awake, you don't want anything, they'll take it. And you see people go into prescription, what they call it, drugs, something like tramadol, opioids. You see some people even use injection, shoot themselves. People are moving away from heroin or cocaine and things like that. And we have a lot of them. One thing about all of these substances is that when people use them, they might start from maybe just using just a little. Then you see them graduating to using more. Their life now revolves around the use. They are recovering from the use. Then they are looking for money to get what they are going to use and use again. So the cycle continues in that angle, and a lot of things are impaired. Work, school, relationships, and the like. So the list go on. You know, in party now, they will even be nailing some things from balloon, and you are asking, what is that about? But it is substance somewhere inside. So some of them you know the name, some of them you don't know the name. But anything that is altering people's feeling, you don't just change your feeling to highness without touching somewhere on the brain. And that is what we refer to as psychoactive substances. You know, men, you know, when we talk about men, I was talking with some group of men, I said, okay, when you hear men, what comes to mind? Say, responsibility, you know, that means you are there taking care of this, taking care of that. Now, for men in this socio-cultural environment, it is important for us to, you know, relate with them that they have a lot of responsibility. They are addressed as sorting things out, getting answers to things. And we are also in an emotionally suppressing environment where they cannot really show some certain emotions. So all of these factors make it somewhat a fertile ground for substance use and abuse to thrive. Because for men, one of the things that I realize happen is that they use substances to cope with certain difficulties in their life. They lose job, they're having problem with their marriage, they are doing this. The next thing is, just take 1 or 2 bottles and you'll be fine. Now from there, they start staying in the bar house from morning till night, not going home. You know, some of them will take some of these substances to enhance their sexual performance. You know, yes, I've seen a couple of them, and before you know it, they are hooked on the substance. It might cause another problem, you know, such as the substance induce erectile dysfunction that could come. You know, you can also see for men, money problem. They want to sort this, they want to sort that, and that is also impairing on the risk for substance use for men. You know, I've seen a couple of people that say they take this loan, take that loan. Then the worry about the loan and things like that make them to say, oh, they are escaping the reality by shifting towards substance use. So aside from that, the early life experience of some men also play a long role. I know right now there's a lot of group for, girls in this, girls in that. How many of this is done for boys? Because I tell people that the man you are seeing is the son to the child. That is, the child, the son, is the father of a man. What they had experienced while growing up, how many forums is available for them to resolve it? And some of them are going on with a lot of trauma in their head without getting it resolved. So trauma, you know, money problems, relationship problems, trying to cope with all of these things are some of the factors that drive them closer to substance use. For men, you know, which of course I call men endangered species, you know, because we look at the ratio of men to women in the general population, they can tell you that the ratio is not balanced. You know, yeah, that's just the truth. You know, so I call us, you know, endangered species in many ways. In many ways, And when you now add drug to a species that is already endangered, that's a lot of problems. Largely, we say that the drug affects one very important area of the brain, and that is the frontal cortex. That is the decision-making part. Is the one that is capable of rational thinking and the like. So if someone uses substances for whatever reasons, the ability to make the right call, the right judgment is eroded. In turn, it will be giving the person poor decisions. That's why you see the person borrow money more than usual, see the person get into trouble here and there, which creates more problem, stress for them. So they are trying to cope with stress with it. Meanwhile, using it is also creating more stress. That is in terms of their mental health. Also, in the poor decision making, because of that area of the brain that is affected, you see a lot of them going into domestic violence. Yes, after they have drink finish, they enter house. The trouble that they think they have run away from is waiting. So, and the drink is still there. It has inhibited the part of them that can think right. So before you know it, the hand is raised like automatically, and the next thing you see is just here and there. Yes. So you see a lot of domestic violence, abuse to the children, abuse to everybody in the home, and just starting from there is starting from their own. When they now sit down and think about it, a lot of guilt, shame, and the likes come on them. I'm talking about men that have had to intervene with, in my course of practice. And I can also tell you, in the mental health of men, it promotes addiction. Because addiction is something, it's not just use. Like we're saying before, that not everybody that use will end up having some addiction. However, the use increase your risk to becoming addicted to it. So it promotes that tendencies to want to seek compulsively the substance, and gain tolerance that small one will not do you again until you have to take more than and start adding and mixing, like science students that they'll call themselves. And this is very, very important. In other mental health capacity, you see men coming down with depression, anxiety, and suicidal behaviors. I will tell you that many of the suicide completed by men have an involvement of substance. Check it out. In many of the suicidal completion cases for men, you see that it has involvement of one substance or the other. You must have read about some celebrities that they just found in their tub or OD'd or whatever it is. And by the time you are exploring the case, they'll tell you, oh, this person was having some bankruptcy issue or dealing with something. Substance use have a way of triggering and maintaining some psychological problem like depression and anxiety. And that's one thing I want men to know, because we can't escape from reality. By the time you leave the substance, the reality remains and you are going to face it. So, and also it makes men have low coping resources, because if you have escaped for it for a long time, you would have forgotten how to even deal with issues the way it is. So they lose the basic coping resources that they should have, because they have escaped the reality using substance for a long time. So I've seen also that substance use progress into psychotic behavior, and I like to close with that. That is with substance use, irrespective of the ones you're using, likely cannabis or whatever it is. Many people come down with psychotic expression. They start seeing things that other people are not seeing, hearing voices that is not there. Oh, they want to come and kill me. Everybody is after me. They will carry machete and put it under their this and that, so that if anybody comes. I'm talking about cases I've seen. That if anybody come, I don't want to injure anybody. I'm just using that to protect me. How will you keep a new branded machete and you want your wife and children to still stay under the same roof with you? They leave. They leave. So they start, having some psychotic expression that required immediate intervention in that process. So quite a lot of mental health issues that come up with substance use. regarding is there hope? Is there help for these people? And I would say that yes, there's help. For persons with addiction, particularly to substance use, uh, we say that um, the the treatment is usually a biopsychosocial one. Uh, for because of the thing that we've had in our environment, some people see it as a character failure or a village people attack. So the first line of this thing is usually we'll go to church or we'll go to mosque or go to all these baba and things like that. See, I'm not an atheist here. We are in Nigeria together. However, this has been proven to be a health situation. And I've seen people get more results using the rehabilitation process. Now, for biological, how do you address someone that is already shouting, maybe saying, I'm seeing someone, or I'm hearing some voices, and you can't hear, you can't see. It's just a show that the drug that the person is using have touched certain part of the brain. And there's no amount of talk at that moment that you can do that can really address that. So the best thing probably what you want to do is for you to involve a clinician, maybe a psychiatrist in this context, to administer some medications to address the psychotic episode to calm down. So if psychotic episodes are addressed, by medications or so, then there are some psychological issues that probably trigger this thing that need to also be addressed. People don't just come down with substance use issue. Maybe they have some disappointment in life that they can't cope with that led them into that place. So all those trauma, abuse that we need to address to, then the psychological part will be taken care of by professionals, psychologists perhaps. Then there is need for social support,
It's so important that you know when to wash your hands before you eat, after you eat, before you use the restroom, and after you use the restroom. And this is for everyone. You wash your hands as many times as possible. Protect yourself. And remember that I normally say health conscious people live longer. And this is where we'll draw the curtains on this week. If you have comments, you have inquiries, you love to sponsor this program because you love to do this with me every week, then you need to reach out to us on the number on your screen or send a mail to orkibenkem@gmail.com. Thanking you for being part of this week's edition of Health Watch. My name is Nkem Orkibe. Same time, same station. See you next week.